All right, I'm going to call the Town of Bristol Select Board meeting for Monday, February 18th, 2019 to order. Any changes to the agenda?
Only that under visitor appointments, Brett LaRose and the firefighter candidate Raluca will not be joining us tonight.
Okay. But we will still act on it.
Please do.
Okay. Public forum. Jim.
Suggestively, before all this marijuana stuff is totally out of control, you guys ought to think about an ordinance in town prohibiting drug paraphernalia being sold. Anything that can be adaptable to drug use. Yeah, I think probably well, you guys can do an ordinance on that.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Police District Public Information Meeting.
This is the first of two. The next one will be March 4th at 6 p.m. upstairs at Holly Hall. And the warning has been posted. And the budget, there are extra copies of the budget if anybody wants copies of that.
So, any questions, comments? Very informational meeting.
I like the way it turned out.
Yeah,
Yeah, you've done a really nice job.
yes.
1.6% increase.
Pairing and very thorough.
So, hearing nothing, we will close that informational meeting. And visitor appointments, as was just stated, the fire chief and the candidate, Raluca Cristia, will not be here. I do know that they both have a training tonight that they had to attend. There was some confusion, because I know I had, some time ago, had a conversation with the chief asking why he wanted people to come here since we didn't bring other candidates for town positions before us, such as Public Works or Recreation Department or anything like that. And apparently Valerie had let her speak for it. I wasn't saying that they didn't need to come, but I was just asking the question, and it got interpreted that they didn't need to, which I do agree with. So you have the information. We can take this to executive session if you so choose, or we can vote now.
I think we should vote now.
Okay, that's a motion
Yes.
to accept her.
I assume Brett goes over all the policies and the 15%
Yes.
making the calls and all
yeah.
that, so they're
You-
well aware
You
of
know
what's...
he does it in
I'm
depth.
just making sure.
Val, you sit in on the interviews, right?
Yes.
I said.
Actually, Ted sat in on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
So we
a,
did go over those.
Yeah.
it was a day that Valerie could not get over the mountains, so Ted graciously stepped in as the liaison to the fire department.
Not off the subject, but I thought we decided we wanted to see, after that discussion, we decided we wanted to see all employees.
I
thought
agree
we
that
said
that
that too.
is what we said, but because of that confusion, and it never got relayed, and the fact that neither one of them could be here tonight anyway.
Well, they're at a fire call now.
They're at the fire call, yeah, they got out of the training, go to the fire call, that's
What
right.
are you saying? Want to put the vote on?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just was looking to clarify in
Yeah,
my mind what we
yeah.
had said.
Well, what I was looking for is that just some consistency to do that. And I agree, I would like to see all of our candidates, yes. Just, if nothing else, to see what they look like. Yeah.
So you know when you see
See
them,
them,
they work
oh,
for
they
us,
work
yeah.
for us, yeah.
Did you get a second?
No,
Second.
okay. Any discussion on that? Okay.
Who made the motion?
I did.
And, so all in favor, more commonly known as Luli, I believe,
Yeah.
and of Raluca Cristia is a Bristol firefighter, indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We shall congratulate her.
Thank you.
Brian, come on up. Glad you came early. You're waiting.
Who is it Shannon or Sharon that works in the office here?
Sharon.
Okay, because last time I called about the dogs, she was on the phone and I kindly held the phone up and she said, "What is that noise?" And I said, "That's what I listen to all the time here.
That was from your house, Brian?
That was from my house, and she heard it over the phone, just as clear as I've stated before. And I guess when I called, who was the other lady that was here before?
Therese,
Yeah, and she said there was nothing more we could do, so then I got to digging a little bit, and the last meeting we had, we wanted to put shock collars on, and Ted said he didn't think that was humane to have them on all the time, and so we were gonna do it for a trial period, those bird houses or whatever that emitted a sound, which did nothing. And I said, well, if that doesn't work, then we'll revert back to the shock collars, and that was agreed upon, and that was never followed up on, so what are we gonna do?
You talked to Todd and you got some information on the shock collars.
yeah, he said he puts them on the dogs in the evenings, like from 3-ish to 6-ish, I don't remember, it's in my notes. So it's on through the night, and then he takes it off in the morning.
Oh, 3 in the afternoon till 6 in the morning?
No, in the evening, in
yeah.
that window of time is when
Yeah.
he puts it on.
Oh,
In the
okay.
late afternoon, and it's on through the night, and then he takes it off around 7:30 in the morning.
On all the dogs?
Correct, that's what he said.
That's wrong.
Do you know, does he have more than dogs than the last time you were here?
There's not enough collars up there for all those dogs.
Yeah. Did he give you a number?
No.
Because I know when we went through this before that he was
Cutting down.
cutting down
Yeah.
on dogs.
On dogs and increasing the number of collars
Yes.
as he could afford it.
Right.
Can I speak?
Certainly. You
Mike
are?
Freegard.
Yes.
There's collars on every dog.
Okay. Do you know how many there are?
There's 10 dogs.
10?
And my dogs, we've got 4 dogs over there, me and my son. And I don't know what the other dogs' collars are like, barking collars, but ours are like, they go from 0 to 10. I mean, if you put them on 10, it brings smoke on their necks. That's how powerful it is.
Right, I don't hear those dogs as much.
So it's gotta be the dogs down back you're talking
Right.
about. You know, right now where the problem is down back is, they're having a lot of problems with it right now with possum and fox. They're shooting like possums every day over there. And the dogs are just going absolutely crazy over there when the possums go down in there, in the chicken coops and stuff over there. And they've been bothering at night, the fox and same thing. They've been going over, been shooting them down here at night, and but as far as the collars, every dog, and usually it's between 3:30 to 5:30, because when I get over there to feed the dogs about 5:30, they've got them on, and they're on until the next morning, 7:30 when they take them off.
So is the evening a problem or is it just during
No,
the day?
it's evening too, yeah.
Yeah, 24
Yeah.
hours. Yeah.
It doesn't matter the time.
And
So the only thing
I mean, that night they found that lady that had froze, I don't think it was your dog, his dogs, your boys, but the ones down back were barking constant, because the lady police officer said, what is that noise? I said, that's all those dogs over there, so.
I was
She
there,
was
and
there.
they were barking, and somebody was out there yelling at them to be quiet.
Right, so there was no collars on them then, so. That
But see,
story.
most of the collars that he has, I think, are like remote control collars. He has to push a button,
oh, okay.
but my collars are automatic. If they bark, they're, I mean, they.
So that does no good if he's sleeping and the dogs are barking.
And he doesn't hear them.
So that might be the difference between the collars that he's got and the other collars. I don't know for
Well, I
sure which
think
collars he has on.
That's a step, Beverly, that we can insist on. That,
So Michael, these
so those are noise activated, is that correct, the ones you have?
Bark, yep.
Yeah,
Bark activated.
yes, if they bark, that's it.
Yeah.
they look like this, we have a cop or a picture of them.
Yeah.
Pamphlet.
Yeah.
No, that's what we put up.
That's the
The
sonar.
Those are the sonar.
Those are the sonar.
Sonic, the
things,
sonic
yes.
noise. But which came up messing my count.
It came up missing?
Yeah. So we ended up putting a game camera up there. We caught a couple people that weren't supposed to be
Is
in the
that
camera.
right?
So it was after dark. Little pursuits.
So I would say, you know, Brian and his family certainly have a right to peace and quiet. And this has been going on for close to 2 years?
Yeah.
Well, since you've come here anyway.
Yeah.
And we haven't heard from you in over a year, but,
Did it ever get any better, Brian?
Not really, no. I mean, I called Teresa, I think, because you had said something like 30 days, we'll give it 30 days, those.
It's in the minutes here somewhere.
Right, it's in there, and I called after that and she said, well, we've done all we can do. And I forgot that in the minutes somewhere it said that if them did not work, then we're going back to the collars. And, or I would have called back sooner, but, I mean, like, the other day when it was nice out, that warm day we had last week here, I was cleaning my porch off and I was home from 11:30 and they barked from that time, because I called here, till like 6, well, till after Mike fed the dogs. But not his were barking, you could hear the ones down back barking.
So,
So
I'm
they have them
trying,
in two separate places?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right,
So one's up front where they put the berm,
right.
and then you got some down, like, what is it, behind the house, or?
Yeah, he's got 3 down back of his house.
So yours are up by the berm,
Mine
and
are-
some of his,
Mine are in the fence, and there's 3 of theirs in the fence too.
and then 3 of his down behind, so
Yes.
the ones down behind, it sounds like they don't have the collars or the terms.
I can't really tell, all I do is hear the barking and it's just been so annoying that I don't try to figure out where it's coming from.
Supposedly this spring, Brian Hill's coming over to take more of that bank down up there in the back, you know, where it's been dug out before, to make it bigger so you can put the dogs down back all up there where they can't see anybody. That was why we put the fence up and the berm, because they
Is
were
that what they're responding to, is people and possums and what?
Yeah, and you know, like that night Brian said when they were barking so much because there's so many people down there with lights on, you know, everything was going crazy, people were talking and
Yeah, my dog
Well,
does
yeah.
that.
because Todd called me and I went over and I said, Jesus, you know, and I said, boy, that's awful funny. I said, the dogs are barking. I said, apparently they ain't got no collars on. Todd said, yeah, they got collars on. So he hits the button and you know, they start kayaking and I said, yeah, they got the buttons on, but they're the wrong ones, but.
Well, that's a different situation where we're talking about every day. I mean, hopefully that never happens again, where they're looking for somebody up there, but,
But yours you don't have to remote.
No, mine
Yours are on and
when I turn them on, put them on their neck, they're on.
That's true, Buck collar.
yeah,
it's true
I
about
mean, what he's
collar.
got
His
is
are-
a training collar.
yeah, so,
I can't, like, because I had the vet over there, we have a personal vet, and she said you can't leave them on
No, you can't.
no,
all day long because they keep having, you know, I've had, my dog, mine was so potent, they've got holes in their neck where the prongs hit, that's how bad they burn. It's, like she said, it's inhumane to have them on all the time. So they take them off during the day. But I've been over there before, you know, during the day, and I don't know, unless there's somebody around or something like that. Well, you've even been over. You know, it's like, it depends, who's there.
Up and down that road.
And it depends on who's, you know, who's making the noise. Loud car goes by or somebody comes up by a
Right.
bicycle or
And
jogging.
I don't
they
want to
pick
see
it
any
up.
harm come to the dogs, but in the flip side of that, it's inhumane for me to have to listen to them all the time too.
The thing that confuses me is, what do you know about the people that live closer to the dogs than you that don't
They own
seem to be-
dogs, so
Huh?
they're not gonna complain. Ask,
I don't know, I own dogs, and if I had to listen to that all the
Ask,
time, I'd probably complain.
I complain
ask,
about my own dog.
ask Driscoll there, the young Driscoll boy that bought the house up there, cause he
Yeah.
come down to see me, cause he brought the tractor down. And he said, you listen to that all the time? He said, I don't know how I'm gonna rent this place. And I said, well, that's a good question.
so I will suggest that the next step be that Valerie contact Todd and say he needs to upgrade to the collars like Mike has. And that'll take care of evening and overnight. Won't necessarily solve the daytime
And they
problem.
have to be on a minimum of 12 or 14 hours a day, you know,
Well,
6 p.m.
it sounds like they are on like 12 hours a day at least, yeah.
That's around.
Yeah,
Because most every night I'm over there by 5:30 till latest cold.
Yeah.
I mean, my collars are on then. And usually his dogs are already been fed and their collars are on, so.
so is that a good step for you, Brian?
I think so.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
So, everybody consensus on that?
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, no
Okay,
problem.
thank you, both.
You know, like before, all you had to do it, you know, like my dogs are barking like you did before, call me. You know, we just go over, like, I mean, that night you called me, what, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I went over and I sat for 2 hours up on the hill,
Right.
not a dog barked, and I'm like, what's he hearing? You know? And then, the next couple nights later, you said you heard him again, so I go over, so I don't know if it's what's there, you know?
Coyote or something.
But last year, we had bear right 10 feet from them, and they're bear dogs, so I mean, You're not gonna calm them down until the
No.
bear's gone.
Whether they have a collar on or not.
Well, exactly, our dogs were out barking the collars, that's how bad they were.
And they do have bears up there.
Them hounds are, well, but like I said, we tried to do everything we can, you know, keep them quiet. We put the berm up, we put the fence up,
Yeah, okay, so we don't-
I put the collars on every night, I mean, they never go without a night without collars, never.
How expensive are those shock collars?
Yes.
$100 a
Yeah,
piece.
it's her.
Is that right?
Yeah, I've got 2 more on order.
And then you have to replace the batteries every couple of years.
Yeah, I've had mine going on 3 years and I just keep them charged and I can tell when they're getting bad because the little red light will start blinking,
Yeah.
I pull it off and charge them.
Oh, yeah.
You turn them on one, and I mean, even on one, they're pulling.
Right.
If they yip, it's that bad. But I didn't know you were having a problem with them barking again, because like I said, I go over there all day long. I don't know if it's because they know my truck, when I pull in, they know better to bark, or. And I know when I open that gate, every one of them go. They just sit there.
Right.
There's no nothing.
I mean, there's people that ride by on bikes, I mean, they hear a lot of things, so it's, you know,
Right.
I understand that part of it.
But that night you were talking about that accident, I mean, I was over there just a few hours before that. And they're all quiet, they're all in bed.
Yep,
Well, I know somebody was out there yelling at them while we were up there.
right, yeah.
Probably Scott was out there yelling at him, 'cause you know.
Push the button.
Okay. Yeah.
As many times as I go by there, I've never heard dogs bark.
Right, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are well ahead of schedule, so I don't see,
I'm all set.
all right, yes, thank you, Mike.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yep, thank you all.
We appreciate your efforts.
No problem.
Yeah. I don't see David or Melanie Lloyd, so Melanie. Just like, yes, I knew that. So we'll skip right up to you. Thanks for coming early. So this is a public assembly permit request for the 3rd Annual Human Powered Parade on Saturday, May 11th, 2019. And so,
I have 5 minutes of video about the parade if we want to look at it, but we don't need to. I sent it to the links.
I just have a couple of questions.
Sure.
It's more for Bruce than you. And how did everything go last year, Bruce? Was first year on you? How did everything go?
It was good. Overall, it was
But
good.
could be better.
There were a couple of areas, and we discussed it, that we will improve
Work
on
on.
for this one.
And did you have people at the North Street for crossing?
I think that we had enough help, but we kind of hustled a little bit. And so this year I sent you the people that are on my committee. And so Mary, if you're willing to work with her, she's just focusing on the safety issue because it was just too much for me to hold all the different pieces appropriately. And so as soon as you can meet, but we were also talking in the committee, I sent you the parade route, which is the same as last year, but we're kind of thinking that, you know, if we didn't have to cross North Street, it probably would be better. But, and just go on kind of the south side of, yeah.
the west side.
It's
The
on the
west
west
Or if
side.
you went out to
West side.
Pine Street and didn't go up to Fitch and
Didn't go over
stay
to the
on North Street back
elementary
down
school.
to Pleasant?
Yeah, I mean, I
Right.
just personally like kind of going around the village and also the Safer House to Schools Task Force that's been meeting since September, which I sent you a little information about that. We're really trying to kind of work on that intersection anyway, so maybe somehow we can create visibility around that crossing, which is Pleasant and North Street. Because it's not a safe I mean, both of the places that we cross, which is Fitch and Pleasant, are
Well, last
not
year you were
safe,
just
but
saying.
they're like actually very well used routes that school children use, so it, you know, not that the parade creates visibility on that, but it could if we do something about it.
I guess my only concern with a lot of Pine Street is that's the
I don't think it's on
Okay.
Pine Street.
transfer station day.
It's not on Pine Street.
No, they go,
No,
they
he
cut
he
through
was
the.
saying if you
Oh.
stayed
Fine,
on
there's
that
no
side of
activity
town.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
she was saying she may switch it.
Oh, okay,
And
yeah.
that may be more dangerous than crossing North Street on a Saturday morning.
But maybe if you're willing to meet with someone besides me, because I have so many things in my head, like Mary, and specifically talk about that crossing and exactly what you need. And I feel like the other thing that we're trying to do, especially because of last year and our concerns, is that one of the main concerns is that it's hard to keep the whole parade together. But I mean, as everybody knows, with like the 4th of
Ted knows
July.
about that,
Yes.
4th of July.
Right, and so,
rub it in.
I mean, I honestly, I wouldn't mind, like, I want the parade to be bigger, and so then it tends to take up more space and time, and so I don't know what that necessarily means in terms of, I mean, I would just prefer to just stop traffic so that we don't have to rush, because I don't know what to tell parents with young kids. Like, they want to bring their new bikers, but they're in the back. And so, and I told people it's not a walking parade so that it speeds it up a little bit, but I mean, a 3-year-old still doesn't bike very fast. So.
I don't know.
Maybe you have two routes,
Yeah.
a shorter route for the younger kids and a.
Now, do you use the sidewalk when you're on North Street? Or are you in a travel lane?
We did, some people were on the sidewalk and some people.
We had all the younger children and participants on the sidewalk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because on Saturday,
Yeah.
that's a major route to the dump.
And there were volunteers to help people get across the street.
Yeah. Yes, I remember that.
And we stopped the parade right in front of the building there. I'm sorry, the Legion. It's not the Legion.
Oh, the Masonic Hall?
Thank you.
Hall.
We did an event right there. We stopped traffic also to get everyone caught up, so then we could do a big crossing. So if we tried to cross before, and then basically we stop at the elementary school, so people are kind of going and get to Pleasant Street quicker than if it was really spread out. So that's kind of how we tried to solve the problem. But
So you your first stop was at Masonic Hall, kind of got everybody.
the first stop was actually
At that green church in the corner of Elm and North.
yeah, second stop, but we stop at
Oh, Autumn Harp area too, the old Mountain Health. And
yeah, we stop there, and then we stop at Masonic Hall, and then we stop at the
So
elementary
you get them all
school.
gathered, all the stragglers come in.
Yeah.
Then you cross this one body, so to speak, across North Street. And then you kind of do that when you stop at Spring and North. You're going to wait for everybody to catch up from Elm Street School, from the Bristol Elementary. Then cross
No,
North
we
Street.
don't. They just kind of come in groups.
It comes in groups.
And again, there's somebody there, a volunteer to help with getting them across the street.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's any way to, I mean, I'd love if, we're trying to get more art, like the entire elementary school this year is doing art for the parade. We got a grant for that. And so it would be great. We're trying to increase like the spectator value eventually. Right? So then if they're stopped, at least there's something cool to see.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, Melanie?
As long as Bruce thinks that it's gonna work safely and.
I mean, now last year you talked about doing pictures in the road, but you're chalking at, is this stop, drop and chalk, you're chalking at Autumn Harp,
Yeah.
on the parking lot there.
Yeah, what we did a sidewalk art competition. Wasn't a competition, but there's about 15 different art pieces along the bike path next to the high school. Might do that again. It's just extra stuff, so it just
Okay.
matters how much energy. But I would like to do like an intersection experience. I think I wrote the 5th stop was Pleasant and Maple. I don't know exactly what that will look like, but probably just like a circle sidewalk stuff. I'm not sure yet.
I'm not sure we want you in the middle of the intersection, but.
There's
Yeah.
no sidewalk there, only on Pleasant Street. There's none on Taylor or Taylor
Where's
Avenue.
on this Pleasant?
Is there any way to do the art in the VES parking lot?
Well, yeah, but except that what I'm trying to do is work with this nonprofit called Come Alive Outside. They do like the winter passport program, and they do a lot of it's called intersection repair. So it's just kind of tweaking people's minds to think about intersections as places to intersect with your neighbors than scary places that cars almost hit pedestrians. And so it's kind of a reframing of that idea, just as like a public experience. I don't know what they'll come up with, but if something comes up with that intersection, I can present the idea leading up to the parade again.
I think we're gonna need to know what that's gonna be and work that out also with Bruce.
Okay.
Make a motion.
If you do that, you get it okayed with Bruce before you bring it to us.
Okay.
If he's not happy with it, we're not gonna be happy with it.
Put pressure on you in public. Yeah, I'll bring it to you beforehand, which would probably be sometime in the beginning of April. But
So I'm a little confused here. I
Sure.
see 2 is Stop and Chalk, and that's, I know where that is, but you're saying that there is Stop and Chalk at other intersections?
Well, what I've been trying to do is, since it's a kind of community, like a moving community experience, that there's different places where everybody gathers in the parade and kind of are encouraged to interact with each other and talk about what it means to be in community and do something like that. And so, yeah, right now, last year we had 2 stops where they did, 3 stops. We stopped 3 times, and we had like a BMX performance and a drum circle, and then the Stop, Drop, and Chalk. And I think it really helps people to interact with, meet new people, talk about the concept, watch a performance. So.
Make a motion, we allow Melanie to have her public assembly permit for the 3rd annual Human Power Parade for Saturday night, May 11th, as long as all the details are worked out with the police chief.
Which would mean maybe I can send somebody from the committee to meet with you with information in April, and then have a month to kind of,
Sooner the better.
sooner than April?
Yeah, sooner, that way if there's something we have to work out, I wanna make sure we have enough time.
Okay, we have a meeting tomorrow, so just email or call in, what's email?
That's a
Okay,
good start.
okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Or did the select board want to see any of those final details, or just,
Well, if Bruce has any concerns, I think he'll
Yeah.
do want to be added on for insurance. I should have said that.
Yeah, it's part of the package.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing we need to see is if you're gonna do that intersection thing. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's-
What it looks like, and Bruce and I talked about it.
Yeah, whether we're gonna, as long as Bruce is okayed it, I'm assuming we'll be okay with it, but we still need to.
And then can I email the town a certificate of insurance? I haven't gotten it yet because I don't have all the details, but I wanted to get the okay for the date from everybody here, but just send it to Val and.
Yeah.
that'll work.
Great,
All right,
thank you, yeah.
So we have 2 candidates for the Conservation Commission, and one of whom is here. Do we want to do one at a time, or are we going to try and do them together? What's your pleasure?
We got one, let's do it.
Yeah, I think one
Come on
at
up,
a
Mel.
time is more fair.
This is Melanie Lloyd.
Hello,
Hello.
Melanie.
Do you know everyone here?
No,
No.
Do you know anyone?
no.
Okay, we'll start with that.
Michelle?
Michelle Burley?
Joel Bouvier.
Peter Heffernan.
Ted Lilas?
Valerie Cables.
Peter Crawford.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, so I was added to the agenda really last minute, and Valerie, the town administrator, looked some information about me on Google and sent it around to you all, but I brought an updated resume, if that also helps.
Okay. So what's your role at UVM?
I don't work at UVM. I finished working there July of last year. So after I was a postdoctoral researcher there in the Department of Biology and was along an academic career trajectory, but decided that I wanted to switch to teaching public school. So the past year I've been getting my teaching license and doing various long-term subbing positions, and then hopefully this coming fall I'll get a permanent teaching position somewhere. So high school science.
Melanie, how did you hear about the positioning?
On the Conservation
Yeah.
Commission? So last January of 2018, I was J term instructor at Middlebury with Carolyn Dash, and she was talking about it and suggested maybe I'd be interested in it. She and I have a kind of similar academic background.
That's very impressive.
Yes,
Thank
it is.
you.
Yes, absolutely is. So your interest, obviously, just from your educational background, what kinds of things would you like to see? Have you done any research or thinking about what you'd like to bring to Bristol with your expertise for the Conservation Committee?
Yeah, so I am pretty impressed with the Conservation Commission's kind of goals to do these really hands-on projects that bring benefit to the community in terms of like people enjoying the area, but also conserving the natural area. And I think it's like a nice partnership of the two. So just generally interested in kind of hands-on projects like that.
Any other questions for her? So, right now, we have one opening, and we have a resignation that will be effective in a couple of weeks. So essentially, we have two openings, and I certainly, we can discuss it in executive session, which probably would be the better thing to do, and then come out of there and make a decision if we choose to, and notify you after that. Probably not tonight.
That's fine. I understand.
Is that amenable to everyone? Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much, and nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Nice
Is
to
that
meet
all?
you. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not a tough crowd.
That was fantastic.
Not tonight.
Not tonight. Okay, so Porter's not here yet. Okay, we'll wait on that. So we're gonna jump down to regular business. Recreation Department adjustment of assistant to the director, title to assistant director. And we've got some paperwork from Meredith on that. Any questions?
The only changes you're making are what you have redlined on here, right?
With the, yeah, it's just, he's not my assistant. He's the assistant
Right.
to
The assistant,
recreation.
yes, yeah.
It just flows better, empowers him, and makes us more whole as a team.
And that's really the only issue, isn't it?
It's just the title.
Yeah, just the title,
Titles are very
nothing.
important, I think, yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there aren't other.
Oh, no.
No, nothing.
So Meredith, though, I think you missed this one then. Should this be crossed out? If you're saying assistant director, you're not calling him.
Well, he's the recreation department assistant director, he's not the assistant to the director. I think that's what,
It gives him authority in her absence to make decisions.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
It was just the way I was reading this. I thought she wanted that out of there, but got it.
Further questions?
Just so be clear, I'm not crazy about either way we go here, but so you'll still won't come back later and say, well, no, I'm not the assistant to the hub director. I'm the assistant rec director. So I just want to make sure.
because the job description is he is an assistant
I
to
see it.
the hub director as well, so he's, imagine, the rec director, and then the assistant director, but he's also the assistant to the hub director.
Assistant director to the hub director.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. That's clear as mud.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be a lot cleaner than that.
Yeah.
So
He's not
He's-
my assistant.
he's answering to two people then.
Right.
Yes. But it also, while I'm gone, allows him to have authority, and if he needs to fill in at the
And
hub,
vice versa. If the hub director's gone
Exactly.
and leaves.
yeah. Like what's going on right now, he's really stepped up and
Yeah.
taken care of the situation over there.
I move that we make this, allow this change to be made.
Second?
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider authorization for the Recreation Director to apply for a Rise Vermont Amplify Grant funds to promote the Bristol Walking Group. Okay, we have some information. Anything you'd like to add, Meredith?
Well, so, as it says, that we're partnering up with DFID,
the health, Mountain Health, thank you. The Recreation Club, the Rec Department, we're all getting together and promoting walking in the town. We're gonna start inside town and eventually work our way out. It's a great connection between all of those involved. And we're focusing on getting people out and socializing as well and walking. And with this grant, the 500 will help us with printing of logbooks, getting flyers out, having a kickoff party at the recreation field, and some prizes for those who have accomplished their walking distances.
It's like a really worthy.
It's good, it's healthy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And worthy.
Yes, it is, it's great.
Yeah.
So this would gravitate as people progress into the trail around Bristol, is that what?
Exactly.
Yes,
Yep, and
awesome.
that's why there, Porter's part of it as well, just to get the trails used and the sidewalks used.
And that will be part of the brochure.
With,
You said you're gonna be brochures printed?
yeah, we're gonna be sending out logbooks, also doing Instagram, so when you walk by Be Fit, you take a picture of Be Fit and hashtag the Vermont Rides and Come Out Alive and the Rec Department.
Great.
I move that we authorize the Recreation Director to apply for this grant.
Second.
Motion and second, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Public assemblage permit request for Mount Paddlers Club New Haven Ledges Race, April 13, 2019. April 20 is the backup date, starting at Eagle Park. This is, I don't know how many years they've been doing this, but.
No, the only question I have, do they ever put Middlebury or Colchester Tech Rescue on, like, standby? Do they know what's going on? I know that, I don't think they've ever had to actually rescue somebody, but.
It wasn't during this, but last year Middlebury Tech had to come up for a kayaker, but it wasn't during this, I don't think.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
They're pretty much they set up rescue points on the way down through and.
Well, I know they have an EMT on the site, right? I mean, he's not gonna do jack if they're stuck in the middle of the
No,
river.
but they do have ropes on the sides, and if they need to help someone, or if somebody comes out of the kayak, which is unlikely, I think, that they can get it across so they can grab onto them. So, yeah, it says in here, this will be their 10th year, so.
Make a motion, we allow Mont Paddlers Club to have their race on April 13th, making sure they notify our emergency services departments, i.e. Bristol Rescue, Bristol Fire.
Second.
Could you restate that condition?
That they notify Bristol's emergency services departments, Bristol Rescue and Bristol Fire.
And then a backup date of April.
And with a backup date, April 20th.
Yeah, if it rains, they don't want to do it.
I don't know why.
Get wet?
Well, it depends on the river.
Yeah,
Right.
The river can
Yeah.
and it can change in one day, but.
Yeah.
And knowing, just say for that group, they've helped the fire department out a number of times.
Yes.
We've had paddlers in the water, somebody missing, and they'll start, if they're there, they can get down that river a lot faster than walking the sides of it.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. I think I already had one. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I just emailed Fred to let him know that we're ahead of schedule.
All right.
And I also emailed Porter to let her know that we're And I emailed you too.
Okay.
You couldn't see her behind the post. Yeah.
No, I know.
Yeah. Consider a request from a motorist for reimbursement of damages to a vehicle from collision with a pothole on Rocky Dale Road. And I think this may be a moot point because my understanding is this happened by Blazes, which is state highway.
I thought the same thing,
Yeah.
but And so Sunday I drove the road,
Yeah.
and as you know, the state has repaved all that, so there's no potholes.
That's what I thought, yeah, yeah.
So I'm guessing it happened up here,
Oh.
because it said Rocky Dale Road, but I'm
Yeah.
guessing it was East Street.
Yeah.
We've never covered these before. The other concern I have is if you look at the invoices, they're 5 days after the event. So if there was, I mean, I just don't know how you say it happened there. And the note also says there were both passengers' tires, and this says 2 rear tires and 2 driver's side
Yeah,
tires.
it's,
So nothing matches.
Well, even if it did, we wouldn't be covering it.
No, we, and the information we got back from BLCT is very clear.
as a victim of that, you remember?
Yeah. Two new tires, driver's side.
Yeah.
2 tires stop, rear axle.
Yeah.
All 4.
That didn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
No. So what's your pleasure?
No.
No.
Do we need a motion on that? I don't think so.
Can't make a negative motion anyway.
Well,
we
you would
can
make
vote-
a motion to
Positive.
approve and then
Approve
nobody,
and vote it down.
And then vote it down, yeah.
I don't think we need to.
so there was consensus.
Consensus, yes.
When we start covering that, you're gonna be,
Yeah, we're gonna be paying for a lot of tires.
Right.
yeah.
Better get a new file cabinet, a big one.
You know, I just, you know, there's been potholes. There's no way of saying that that pothole was the one.
No.
Maybe that's the one that ended it, but
unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast. And
It
I
is,
saw Dan
yeah.
on the
Yeah.
TV the other day, he said they don't fill them until the spring because they just keep getting
they blow out.
blow
They
out
do,
with the cars
yeah.
driving over them, the
But
weather.
I've seen our public works people
Out there filling them.
filling them. And
Next day, it's right back.
it snows like, they plow 'em off, but.
Or the thing's full of water and you can't see it.
That's right, yeah.
The one here.
And the water
that lives
pushes
by
the
Stony
stuff
Hills. is
It does, yeah. When you're, and with the weather we've had, the hot and the cold, it's, you can only do so much. Okay, consider acceptance of a proposed contract with Du Bois and King for the Main Street lighting and sidewalk improvements project. That was a very lengthy
I guess.
packet here on that.
You don't have an extra copy of that proposal, do you?
The contract? Sure.
So, Valerie, why don't you give us the background on the group that met with them? And,
So the review committee are members of the Bristol Core Board, and Ian joined by phone, and he had all the information available to him. And Amanda Sorrell also joined us. And we met with 2 representatives from Du Bois and King, and we expressed our concerns and our perspectives about thinking that we expected more efficiencies because they are involved in the paving project and also had worked on other village projects like the town green or the village green. And they explained that they felt that the curb realignment is going to take a lot more time than other bidders might have expected. Because the other bidders may have just planned to do typical curb sections, but they felt that Bristol's sidewalk, Main Street sidewalk, needed to be surveyed and studied more closely because of drainage and slope and the height of the curbing, because it's very uneven, and there's a depression between the sidewalk and the curb where the pavers are deteriorated. So they felt that they put in some hefty hours to focus on that.
That should all change with the stamped concrete, it's all coming out anyway.
Right,
It's not
but
like it's-
they're concerned about different elevations because the stamped concrete is going to change the pitch in some way. I can't really articulate the mechanics of what they were thinking of, but,
It's not gonna be settled.
right.
at least for a while, hopefully not ever, but yeah.
So it includes some survey work and some field work.
How was
More
this
so than
coordinated
than the
with
typical
the
sidewalk.
scheduled paving in 2020?
they feel it can be integrated, they feel that this can be done quickly
Before that.
before that, and if not, if for some reason the construction phase does trickle over to 2020, that it can be integrated and phased such that the curbing happens soonest, so that the paving.
Well, the reason I asked the question, because I know that V-Trans has already had surveyors here for the paving.
That was Du Bois.
Same ones.
Yeah, it is.
Du Bois and King.
That they contracted with them to do it, so,
Right,
well, so if the sidewalk changes, is that gonna change the pitch of the road and the surveying that's already been done? If it's the same group, then we're good, okay?
yep.
Valerie, is there, and we probably won't know that until they get it drawn out on paper, but down by where the Bobcat is now, that was leveled out many years ago for handicap to get in there, not because
When it
of
was
the
a
Bobcat,
bank.
when it was a bank. And now, and it slopes back to the road, those brick pavers do. Will those come back to normal, so to speak? I mean, will they just tear out everything and go from the door fronts?
No. It's not new sidewalks, it's just,
Yeah.
it's just from
Okay, so
the
we're not
edge.
putting in new sidewalks?
Right,
No.
the
No, and
sidewalks
even
are
though
not,
the sidewalk comes up like this and goes
Right,
back down
yeah.
again, that's gonna stay that way, as I understand it.
correct.
It's just where the bricks are,
The bricks, the
Yeah.
curb, and the light post.
The light post, yeah.
Right.
and adding bicycle racks and benches in that same space.
Well, that's a different agenda item.
I guess, then my next question was, there's been some talk about, the street's pretty wide on this end, real wide. And it gets narrower as you get down towards, Kimball's Office Supply and the Snaps.
Well, this was.
Was there any thought of either turning those parking spots a little,
Okay.
putting the lines a little, I'm gonna say,
I'm
a
gonna,
little
More angle.
more angled?
Well,
Or-
that's a different project.
Or we
That's
see
actually,
something.
that's actually going to be dealt with as part of the paving project. And,
Because there are times it is bad trying to.
You get a long truck like mine, I was at the restaurant one
right,
snowy morning having breakfast with Peter. We were both parked there with our plows on. And we were stuck right out, we were pushed out in the road.
Right, and if there's a truck coming the other way, you gotta stop, you can't turn.
right.
And I just wondering if,
That won't be adjusted as part of this
Yes.
project, but it will be as part of the paving project. I've already received some information that in their preliminary drawings, they applied the the V-Trans standard parking widths for the parking places. And if that is included as part of the paving project, Bristol would lose about, I think, like 5 or 6 parking spaces, because the regulation, the standard dimensions are wider than what we've done. And so,
Really? Usually I find all parking spots is skinnier and shorter to fit little cars.
so one option is for their project not to include striping of the parking spaces and to leave it to the town to do in any manner that it wants to do. But so restriping the parking spaces, they're proposing that they
That's
not include it.
negotiable, huh?
Right.
Okay.
sounds to me like we should do it.
I guess my thought was maybe that brick,
But we
that
could
stamped
put
concrete or
5, 6
brick that was going to have would narrow up when it gets to the east end of Main Street. It's 2 feet
So in other
wide all the
words-
way, it might be
so,
only
oh,
a
I
foot
see.
wide, so you gain 2 feet in the center of the middle, that's what I'm,
I don't know if we
I
can
don't
take,
know.
we
I don't
can't,
know.
we can't take property away from
Well, it's still all part of the right of way.
the sidewalks aren't. I don't believe the sidewalks are. I think you'll find those deeds read to the hitching post.
And it's not wide enough now by Snaps in the summer when they have their tables outside, it's not wide enough.
no, I'm
now?
not saying that, I'm just not narrowing the sidewalk, absolutely not, no
Oh,
more.
okay.
No
Narrowing.
narrowing,
Just the brick
narrowing
area. The brick area.
that brick area down. That was
But
my
sometimes
thought.
that's where people have to walk when the
Yeah.
tables are out,
Well, then
so.
Then that's the issue, get it,
Yeah.
the elevator.
Tables shouldn't be taking up more than half of the sidewalk. By,
One square, yeah.
yeah,
First square should be
Right.
it.
We know.
and if they
We
are, make them
complain
move them back. Do we need an ordinance?
I think
I guess before
we've
we,
gone to them in the past and told them. they
Sure.
need to-
Yeah.
I'd like to see it drawn out with engineers from V-Trans and said, as the road gets narrower on this end,
Mm-hmm.
what is your thoughts on pushing the curb back? I don't know what the answer is. I'm
No,
not an
that's a
engineer.
good question.
I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn last night either, to pretend I was.
But I don't think you can take that land away from the property owners. Because it's technically theirs.
Well, part of this project will include a public information meeting that will quite likely be part of a select board agenda. And then the paving project will also have a public information meeting hosted by V-Trans. So we'll have at least 2 opportunities to weigh in on these projects.
We'll
Give
do what we
feedback.
want, and then you'll own it.
Right. Exactly. We're gonna do just what we want and then we'll turn it over.
But the maximum limiting amount component of this contract is a positive twist that if it costs them less to do things, if they don't need as much time to do something, then we won't be paying for it.
Right.
Well, I would think that there might be some room to work some there with V-Trans, because if we're changing the curb where we can raise the curb, they won't have to grind the pavement in order to keep the 7-inch reveal at the curb.
Well, that's for engineers to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the same engineering, so it should be, it should be.
I'd like to have a
So I had a question about the engineering and how the original estimate went from $5,000 to the updated estimate of $37,952. What happened there?
Right. So-
And also the construction inspection.
Right.
$5,000 to $12,041. It just blew me away what happened.
I used the original budget from a grant application that was not approved, because at that time I wasn't quite as familiar with what the scope of the project was expected to be. I did not change those figures, and my guess is that the original scope of work might not have included as much public outreach, public involvement, and involvement of the Bristol Core Review Committee. And also, I probably broadened the scope a little bit more than what was originally intended.
But that isn't engineering, is it?
Yeah, this was
we not
just an engineering RFP.
Yeah.
And then the construction inspection, I don't know what the original assumption was of what would be needed there. Du Bois and King projected, I think, 1 person every day, 8 hours a day. And what we talked about at our meeting was that depending on the contractor, that might not be necessary. Or we might just find that the inspection services don't need to be every day. Or it's targeted on when certain tasks are expected to be scheduled. So that's why we left that open-ended. We expect the final figure to be much lower.
Okay.
Peter, question.
Yes.
On this Main Street, on the price list here, 8 and 10 were, says, number 10 says Sternberg lighted pole and base installation.
Okay, that's the next next one.
Okay.
No, but it's still a question though, because it might affect us. Are they, it says, convert lamp heads to LEDs, so that, are we using current?
We're using the
current
heads,
current
put on
head
new
poles
poles.
and putting on new
Well,
poles?
that's a question. That's open, that's gonna be part of the engineering process for them to evaluate, but quite likely we're going to be switching to entirely new poles.
Well,
New
number
poles
10
and-
is Sternberg light poles and base
Right.
New
installation.
poles and heads.
Right,
So this this price then might change.
it might.
These poles are pretty beat up.
Oh,
Yeah, and the beauty of the new ones will be they'll be 2 foot off the
Yeah,
ground, so
yeah.
that if anything gets hit, it'll be the concrete.
And that's a question, we talked about that quite a bit at the meeting, about what's expected of this pedestal base, this concrete base. How much reveal?
Personally like to see it. You see some of these in these Walmart or some of these parking lots, just a big round cement thing. They poured like in a 55-gallon gallon. I'd like to see a little decorative. I don't know if we can do it. I don't know if we can. I'd like to see
I
something.
think you're gonna see, I think what's they're spec'ing is something like what's over to the fire station, those 18-inch precast. And
square?
they're round. Well, you can get square. Square like at the animal hospital. You can get square, you can get round. that stick up, I think those are 18 inches. So
Which
they're
probably should be enough.
Yeah.
Well, unless you got a truck with a plow.
Yeah. Then they own it.
Falls on the ground too, so you gotta hit it.
Okay, so any further questions?
Yeah, it is possible to convert those lamp heads to LED. I thought that was what the problem with the lamp heads was, but that they couldn't be converted.
What? Yeah, didn't I just hear you say they're gonna replace everything?
They're replacing everything, so this line
No, she
8.
said that's in the discussion.
Oh,
She
yeah.
said that's probably likely, but it's in the discussion whether it's
Okay.
converted.
Anybody care to make a motion?
I move we accept the proposal of Du Bois and team.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Consider authorization for the town administrator to apply for additional downtown transportation fund grant funds for the Main Street lighting and sidewalk improvement project.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion?
Get everything you can, Valerie. I still think we're gonna need it.
Well, I wanted to stay because we were talking about that in the task force meeting, that is there an option to apply for additional funds for bike racks and benches?
Yep,
Or,
Yes.
that's
They're in
included.
here.
so you guys just approved that?
To apply.
To apply
apply.
for and add those additional funds
Yeah.
for
Right.
bike
So,
racks?
I do have a question on the bike, the benches and the bike. Are they something that are gonna be permanent all year round?
They would be removed in the winter and stored at the
Okay.
Public Works.
Because I was just thinking plowing
assumed
and where you
that.
put the
Yeah.
snow
Yeah.
and.
Right, yeah, we already talked about
Yeah.
that with Eric.
Yeah, I'm sure that was his
Tripping over,
first
trying
thought.
to
I
get
bet.
from their car onto the sidewalk.
Well, just trying to clean up the streets. Yeah, okay. Motion and a second. All in favor, indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We heard back from Porter? No?
Do you wanna,
But it was at 7:10, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have the materials, I could go through it if you like.
yeah, that'd be great.
Well, it's up to you. If you want to wait for her, we'd be happy to have you do it.
We're just cleaning up more of ours so we can get out of
Yeah,
it. Christine, that's all.
well, we're,
What would you take next, do you think?
the next thing, we've just got to approve some minutes.
Well, and also Fred Bass.
Oh, Fred's coming here too.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's not here yet either, so,
Maybe you should slide in.
I'll
yes,
slide.
come on up.
I hate to do it before
It's not your first time presenting it.
Yeah,
Okay, so I believe she just wanted to bring you up to date on the happenings at the Memorial Forest Park. We had a structural engineer go out there and take a look at the bridge. And I don't have the report. I was imagining that Porter would have the report, so hopefully she'll be here with that. But the short story of that report was that they only authorized it for use for the next 5 years. They felt that it would need to be replaced or rehabilitated at some point in the near future. So I believe Porter's plan of action is to kind of phase in some grant applications to go after additional monies within 2 or 3 or 4 years, looking ahead toward either replacing that bridge or rerouting the trail to avoid the bridge and removing the bridge, or to be determined, I think, is what it
I
amounts
really
to.
like that bridge.
it is a nice bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the sense of walking over the
Yeah,
boat.
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's nice to have that crossing,
Yeah.
so if we can keep it, that would be nice. She also applied for a large grant as of January 1st, I believe it was, with the support letters from the Bristol Conservation Commission and others. That is,
8,000 some odd.
yeah, at least.
We got that. Rec Club did get that.
Rec Club got that one, but there was also a larger grant application toward rehabilitating the trail to Memorial Forest Park. I want to say upwards of 50-ish. So we won't hear about that for some time, but she'll keep you posted, I'm sure. We had an invoice from Timber and Stone, who subcontracted this engineer, DeWolf Engineering Services, who did the inspection of the bridge. And their invoice came in at $1943.60, and that somewhat exceeds the amount that this board authorized the Conservation Reserve Fund to pay that structural engineer. I believe we had asked for up to $1,500 from the Conservation Reserve Fund, and their actual invoice came in at $1943.60. So I was hoping that Porter could be here. She was going to go back and ask the Bristol Rec Club for the difference, and or write a grant application to Neat Repeats in Middlebury for the difference. And I'm not certain what the outcome is there, because I haven't checked in with Porter recently.
So, this part, maybe you don't know the answer, part of the engineering, did they look at that stairway, or is that going to change, or there's also discussion of changing the path to get down there?
Changing the
and just
path, yeah.
bypassing that?
Correct, and the main reason to get the structural engineer there was that Timber and Stone, in their design of the layout of the trail, had concerns about the steepness of that timber ladder, and also the bridge, of course. And so it's my understanding that DeWolf Engineering worked in collaboration with Timber and Stone to kind of tweak the design, the trail design, such that it would be structurally sound.
Yeah, I find that stairway much more concerning than the bridge.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
And the path up above.
Yeah.
That thing is just plain dangerous.
About the results of what they were gonna do with the path.
Yeah.
Because they had talked, she had came and talked to us about getting rid of the stairs and doing something differently.
Correct.
Yeah, that was.
So, since Porter's not here, I'm sorry, but I can't quite bring you completely up to date on what's happening. But I did want to bring that to your attention, at least the invoice amount being higher than the amount that we'd asked for and received permission to spend from the Conservation Reserve Fund.
Okay.
About the, trying to get the difference from other organizations, little red flag goes up for me in terms of timing.
Okay.
Because typically they would expect to be paid within 30 days, and will those organizations be able to make a decision and actually make the funds available within that period of time?
Good point. I know Neat Repeats is set up to kind of be that emergency piece of
They got it rolling.
Yeah, they kind of have, just for these kinds of situations when groups find themselves in this spot. The Bristol Rec Club, I'm not sure, that maybe they have some funds they can use to cover.
What's the difference, about 400 and something bucks?
I believe we asked for 1,500, so that leaves 443.60.
Okay.
I would be comfortable paying the bill and reimbursing the fund.
Right, yeah.
You got a motion?
Got a motion, yeah.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. So, okay, so that's covered.
Okay, thank you.
It doesn't mean stop looking for
No,
money.
Pound the ground.
no, the bill will be paid, but expecting the 443 reimbursement back to
Right,
the
gave
town.
the town risk.
Or
I
back-
believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
And the 1,500 will come out of the conservation.
Conservation Reserve Fund.
Well, I think that's where the other,
Yeah.
Well, it all come out of there.
Yeah, all come out of there.
Yeah.
and then if for some reason we're not successful in getting refunded, at least it will be paid for out of the proper account.
Yeah.
Right.
I do think some of the money is coming from the Legion. $3,000 from the American Legion. So not all out of the Conservation Reserve Fund, so that kudos to them for committing those funds.
Isn't that just like the American Legion?
Yeah. They do a lot for this
Yes, they
community.
do.
They do, for sure. Okay. And I can bring you up to date really briefly on the Paul Fuller if you want. We've just hired the appraisal to occur, so we expect an appraisal to be in within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So
That's on that little triangle.
that little, that little triangle piece. On the
And they're gonna make sure it doesn't get separated.
Yep, and they're
We had
covering,
that discussion,
they're including the sliver.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you.
Peter, did that get approved though? I didn't hear a vote on it.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
Unanimous.
That was quick.
Okay,
Think it's-
maybe that's Board.
There she is, yeah.
Let's see.
Your thunder has been stolen.
Hardly.
Not all.
No. So Kristen has given us a brief update on Memorial Park work
Super.
and the bill.
The overrun.
The
Yeah.
overrun, which we just voted to cover out of the Conservation Reserve Fund, and with the expectation that the 443, if you can get the money somewhere, would be reimbursed back to that fund.
Okay. I haven't beat any bushes for it yet.
You know, we understand that, but
It
we
was a
just
question
want,
of timing.
we wanted to make sure that it got paid.
Great.
So,
I'm sure that Josh would be glad to.
And I told them that you had applied for the large grant,
Yes.
and I'm not sure if we've heard anything about that.
I don't think we'll hear anything until April.
Okay.
So the way that that works is the committee will make their recommendations. Those will get forwarded and a decision will be made, I think, by the commissioner. And then we will probably find out in April, and then they have to actually submit it. It's federal money. So the money itself isn't released until June. So fingers crossed on that.
What was the dollar amount of that?
The actual dollar amount that we applied for was about $38,000 ultimately. And I can tell you a little bit more about what that's for and where we are.
Go
I
ahead.
told them the bridge had a 5-year lifespan-ish,
We're hoping it.
but that's all I said.
Okay. So this is the report. It's my only hard copy. I'll leave it for you to peruse. If people are super interested, I can give you a link to it electronically as well if you want to look through it. We were really glad to be able to get Timber and Stone to do this. They do a terrific job and it's a very thorough report. And then they worked with DeWolf Engineering to look at the bridge there. We got money to do this report from the Conservation Commission, as you guys have just said, but also the American Legion gave us $3,000 for this, which we're really grateful for, because it is a memorial park, and that is a huge piece of what allowed us to do that, because the Rec Club Trail Fund is not robust right now. We used it to pay for grant stuff last year to use it for matching grant, so we're trying to rebuild that fund so we don't have a ton of money in there. So we were really glad to be able to do that. What came out of it were a series of recommendations. The first, he's put them in priority order of where he sees concerns. And the first is that steep staircase down to the bridge, which we all know is rickety and slippery and very, very narrow in its tread. So that's their first priority. And that is what we wrote the grant for the recreational trail program. So that grant would allow us to do that reroute with stone steps. And taking the staircase down is something that the Bristol Trail Network would be happy to do. Our volunteers can handle that. We can take it down. But building the stone steps around would be important to do with a professional trail builder, because of a couple of things. One is the soils there are very thin, and the proximity to Baldwin Creek means that we really want to make sure we do a very good job getting those steps put in well so we don't cause erosion, and also having it be a safe walkway so that it's inviting for people to go that way. So that's actually priorities 1, which is $0, take the stairs out, and priority 2, which comes in at about $36,000. The reason we wrote our grant for more is that to get that grant, we would have to do an archaeology assessment. So we actually had to write the grant for a little more than it would cost to do that reroute. Does that make sense?
Any idea what that assessment would run?
I estimated for it to be a couple of $1,000s because I talked with the guy from UVM who gave us an assessment last year when we applied for the grant, and he said he thought it would be about the same. So I don't have a formal proposal from him yet, but he's
I'm
on
looking
it.
at a guess.
Yeah, a couple $1,000s.
I don't know, when we did our survey for a personal project. Scott Dillon from the state came down and he cleared it, and it didn't cost us.
For archaeology?
Yep.
And we did a similar thing on Saunders, the NRCS archaeologist came
Yeah,
and did
maybe
it
we
for
should
free.
look into that.
So we may be able to get it
That would
for
be great.
free service. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're all about that. Do you have that
We
contact?
love that word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love that word.
Free?
Free.
Yeah, Scott Dillon is historic preservation through the state of Vermont.
Okay. That would be super. So if we get that grant, which would be fabulous, fingers crossed that we will, we still need a 20% match, which is going to be about $8,000, just under. And we're going to be looking for support for that because we don't have that much money in our trail fund. Also, at our last rec club meeting, the question was raised, you know, the Bristol Trail Network is designed to create trail and maintain trail, but this is a pre-existing problem. And what I'd like to offer is that, you know, we are super happy, the Trail Network or the Rec Club, to like write the grants or coordinate that. But as far as, you know, we're not expanding any new trail, and we'd like to help keep this well maintained and be safe, but it's not really what we were hoping to do with our resources, is just fix a problem that has accrued over time. So I'm hoping that you guys will be able to put your heads together to help us look for other ways to fund that, because I'm not going to be able to come up with that 20% match out of the blue, and certainly not from our trail fund coffers. If they were enormous, then we might look at it, but right now we don't have that money.
Could that be,
We did.
20% could be, what if we had our highway department truck the stone up?
Yeah, I think we could come up with the
In-kind would be.
In kind,
In-kind.
trucking the
possibly,
stone?
yeah.
We put it out to
Accessing
bid
stone,
that-
trucking the stone, yeah. He has a source for stone, but we might be able to still help out with that. Or maybe we have a better source, I don't know. But
No, I mean.
yeah, I think there's definitely ways we can talk
trucking
about
it
that.
is- They're gonna have that truck, so
Yeah.
we might be able to have that done.
Yeah, those are exactly the kind of ideas, like if we can be creative about how we can, you know, come up with that. And if we don't get the grant, then we need to be putting our heads together to come up with a much bigger figure or come up with a different plan. So I love this plan. I think this would be great. I think the stone stairs would be our most sustainable long-term solution there. But it's not the cheapest option.
Right.
You know, so if we don't get the grant, we can talk about what other options might be. What I'd like to talk about if we don't get the grant is where other places we can pound the bushes for money. And like I said, I'm happy to write the grants or coordinate the grants. I just can't front the money from the rec club. So that's priority 1, get rid of the dangerous stairs, we can do that. Priority 2, build the stone steps around to reroute. Fingers crossed that we get this grant. Priority 3 then is to improve the access from the parking area to you know, that slightly lower level that we'll be putting the reroute in. And that's where I think you guys saw that there was some exposed rebar, and that the wood there has eroded or disappeared altogether, and there's a lot of erosion right there. He's recommending, again, stone steps to do that, again, for the long-term sustainability. Also, I think from an aesthetic standpoint, having it be all contiguous would be lovely. But the price tag there, again, is another $33,000. I would love, love, love to find a grant source that we could access quickly for that and do it all at once. I think there'd be savings if we did it all at once, and I think it would be great to have that all open. I think that access is not as dangerous, obviously, as the existing stairs. So if we couldn't do it all at once, this site could still be open. But it would be so nice to have that all done this summer. So again, any thoughts on that, please shoot them my way. I'm happy to write grants. I don't know of any deep-pocketed grant opportunities for us right now.
I'll be attending that public information meeting for the Northern Border Commission grant program. And they fund recreation and trails projects.
So, and I think there are tons of possibilities for that. So, and those are some fairly deep pockets. So yeah, I'm happy to help with that in any way. Let me know after you go to that meeting.
I think anything that you can do so that you can see from the road that there's an actual trail down through there. Because it's just driving by there, it looks like a parking lot and
Right.
nothing more. And it's just so beautiful when you get down in there,
is.
but people need to know about it.
Yeah.
And,
Well, and I'm hesitant to promote it until we have
Till
it
it's
a little
safe,
safer.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
The last priority is replacing the bridge, and DeWolf thought we could get away with another 5 years on the bridge, but that beam is reused already once. So cleverly, whoever built that bridge, had recycled it from another life. I don't have a price tag on replacing that bridge. I think that we probably want to start looking sooner rather than later at what that would be, so that we can be planning for that moving forward. Because I imagine that'll be a big ticket item. But it's fine for now. And we don't have the kind of traffic down there that, even once we do improve the stairway, I don't think we're going to have any risk or problems in the short term with that. But we want to be looking forward and be proactive. So that's our full report.
I would be interested in the link
What's the
to
site?
that.
Yeah. Sorry?
The site where we can leave it.
I would have to give you, it's a Dropbox link, so it's not actually a site, but I can send that to Valerie and you guys can all have that.
Thank you very much. Excellent work.
It's very exciting.
It is exciting, and it was really fun working with them. They have a lot of vision and enthusiasm, and they do really nice work. So,
Okay. Thank you. I think that David's probably not coming.
I handed him the agenda on Thursday.
Yeah. Fred?
Thanks, guys.
Good night, Meredith. Thank you.
for the volunteers, I reached out to them. Did you already do stuff? Did you already do that? Okay. And I'll leave. I'll pick that up from you sometime next week. There's no, I don't need it right now.
Come right up, Mr. Moderator.
Hey. I was telling Porter I was on the board when we redid that bridge. It didn't cost us a nickel.
Oh my.
Dave Lathrop, who worked for the state designing bridges, designed it. He got the lumber gratis from MLOs or one of the building crews, and I think it was the Lions Club, which existed at the time. You're talking mid-80s, built it.
Wow. The Lions Club is still around.
Yeah, back in the mid-80s it was.
This is the first section.
Not
Pretty sure it was the
Bristol.
Lions Club.
Not
Yeah.
Bristol,
No,
but there is a Lions
they-
Club.
They were still around in the mid-80s. There was a
No,
Lions
I'm
Club in
saying
Bristol.
now.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Pretty sure I got all those things right.
Pretty sure. Long time ago.
Yes.
This was.
Here.
You have a copy of that?
So this is the
No.
Yes.
I was looking outside.
this section here. Or is this?
I've shared this with you.
No, sir.
This is the reroute. This,
So the police district meeting lasted about 30
I would
seconds.
say from about here
I ran right through it. I had to cut a couple
to
people off.
here is the reroute.
2 words. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, so as we go through this, folks,
Across the grade. Right.
guys,
Sorry.
we're on to another subject.
Yep.
Good for you.
We all are. So the first two, I think, pretty straightforward. And
I would say number 1, is there anything in the town report? Of course, you haven't seen it yet. Typos, things like this, because that's the place in general. You know, if there's a wrong number in the highway budget. I guess you could wait till the highway budget. But there are a lot of reports in there.
You mean Article 1?
Article 1.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We can address any of the repairs.
and those are due Wednesday?
Correct.
Yes. So they're due back from the printer on Wednesday. So we'll have an opportunity to go through those.
And you guys can point them out and we can make a motion.
Well,
We don't make mistakes.
Well, no, but the printer might, or something like that. In Article 2, it occurred to me, since there's a competitive race, one or more of those running do have the ability, within Robert's rules, to speak very briefly about themselves. It's not meant to be a campaign pitch. but any article that's to be taken up by Australian ballot, technically, if there wants to be conversation can be had as long as one sticks to the article. I don't know whether anything will happen there or not. I don't know whether Ted will want to say anything. I don't know whether Ian will want to say anything, but it is possible.
And we do have one person running for Lister.
Yeah, only one, yeah. Well, we have another one running for Selectboard, so he can make a speech if he wanted to. Where do we fit in if they show up, our state representatives?
Well, good point. It would be at the beginning of the meeting. And I asked this question, do I call the meeting to order and then have reps speak, or do we bang the gavel, get everyone's attention, and have business that isn't the business of the town as warned, conducted, and then start the meeting? And the League's of City of Town attorney felt it could be done either way. I think in the past I've started the meeting.
You started the meeting and then asked for permission for those from out of town to speak.
And that is true. That'll have to be the case.
Yeah.
There's another thing that I wanted to ask you all about to see if you're okay with. This will be the first year, maybe forever, where there's no school meeting. As we've always interrupted it after Article 70, whatever it was. Because there was some controversy for sure in having one district, and there not being any identification specifically with Bristol Elementary or any of the other elementary schools in town. The folks at the district and I chatted, and there's an interest on their part to do something akin to what the representatives do. Speak just to a few minutes, focusing on the elementary school, and then any questions or whatever would be handled. Subsequent to that, off premises or in the back, rather than it becoming any kind of a back and forth. And there was a feeling that might not be bad for the first year or two in something that's very, very different. They have their annual meeting, I think, next week, next Monday or Tuesday. I have no clue how many people are going to go, and I have no clue whether there's going to be much discussion, if any, on Bristol Elementary or Beeman or any of the others for that matter. But the thinking was that perhaps you take an opportunity at the beginning of the meeting and do that for 7 minutes or something like that. Keep it short.
I guess my feeling on that is I personally don't have a problem with them speaking, but we can't get into a dialogue.
And I agree.
Well, and
I will print it that.
I would be afraid of them taking it out back, like you suggest, that maybe they have questions that it would interrupt you in the meeting.
I won't let that happen either. There's out back and there's out back.
Outside.
Sure, out in the breezeway or whatever. You can have a conversation as long as it doesn't get too.
So this would be.
So what is the rest of the audience doing while they're meeting out in the back?
We just have a meeting,
just carry on
just
our
like we
meeting.
do otherwise.
So they're going to miss out on whatever is going on the floor.
If they choose.
Okay.
Well, I think-
And that's happened in the past with representatives. I know Mike or Dave would go out back and disappear, and so would go with them. And I never really paid much attention, and in 2 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever, things, but that's their choice.
I was just thinking if there's like 20 people that want to talk about this, all of a sudden they're out the door.
Well, I guess you need to invite them to this school district meeting.
Yeah.
That's where the dialogue needs to happen. And
That's correct.
Which is
I guess my feeling is if they really want to know,
Next
we'll
week.
go to that.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Question I had for was it Valerie or?
Well, I wanted to make sure,
Well-
I mean, technically it's my call, but I wanted to make sure, I mentioned it to you guys and ladies, and just to make sure there was no real, wow, we can't do that type of a thing,
Who would
'cause then I
speak on their
rethink it.
behalf?
It'll be school board, it'll be members from the Bristol group.
Unified district.
I think we have 3 members on the board, I think.
Now, because we voted their budget their last elementary school budget, last March town meeting, will they have to take a minute and report how it ended, so to speak, or no? The budget we voted on last year, Unified School District didn't start till July 1st of this year, correct?
I think that is correct.
So will they have to give a kind of an overview report of what happened from last town meeting to this one?
We'd have to look at, they've got their warning, I know, printed and out front. I don't know. I'm not the moderator for the school.
Yeah, that would only be from town meeting.
Last year till June 30th.
Yeah, so it's the budget that was voted
last year.
in 2017.
Yes.
Right, you're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I guess they wouldn't. So my question is, Articles 5 and 6, if they get approved, well, we're gonna pay down some loans.
Well, I want to back up a little bit because I want to find out how the rest of you feel about having somebody speak about on the school, on behalf of the school. Is that something we want to do or not?
I think they have their opportunity at the other meeting.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, my only thing to that is not everybody will go to that meeting.
Well,
So, I mean, it would give a chance for them to just give a brief overview of what's happening to people who don't make it to the meeting. I mean, I don't know if that meeting's gonna be televised or not, but.
You're a good point.
Won't the decisions already have been made at that meeting? So it's basically just information at that point.
It'll be an
Well, that's what I'm
Australian
saying, it's just
ballot for the
information.
budget.
I guess the question would be, Rick's reverse that, if someone got up at town meeting on that night and asked about the police department budget that we just warned at 6:30 to 7, said, I didn't get a chance to come in a half hour earlier, I wanna know about it, we wouldn't let them.
No, it's not part of that meeting.
No.
Right. So
It's not on the agenda.
that answers my question, whether we're gonna allow the school to elaborate.
Well, technical point here. You don't allow anything on town meeting day. I allow things on town.
Right, you allow it.
And I'm here though, the moderator runs town meeting. And makes the decisions around that. But I didn't want to make a decision on this without touching bases with you all. And nothing is set in stone. And so I'm interested in what you have to say about it.
so have you been approached about this?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think if someone got up and said, how will the Unified School District budget affect our taxes here in Bristol?
Well, I'm not gonna allow them to ask any questions, Joel. It's gonna be a report,
So I guess we're.
brief, just like a state representative might give, or a senator. This is what's going on that we thought you would be interested in knowing, da-da-da-da. And if there's any questions, you can email me or call me, or I'll be out back and you can ask
I
me
think
questions. And it would be like that, and it would be no longer period of time, because that's not really what the focus is. But this is the first year we haven't had the school thing. I can always speak to, especially if there's people moaning and groaning about not asking questions. I can urge them next year, when maybe we won't have them do this little business in the beginning, to attend the meeting, and that's the proper place for all of it to be sorted out. I just don't know what to expect. I don't think it's a bad idea, but it has to be put in the proper perspective with the proper amount of time, and it can't disrupt or we can't be getting involved in questions and answers.
I think the question is, we're here to discuss the warning as printed, and there's not one word in here about school.
Well, I'm not gonna worry about any questions.
No word in here about, senators and representatives.
No, neither.
They are, I guess it's our elected officials that are representing our community. And maybe we ought to hear what they have to say about how they're representing us.
Well,
it's no different than when you were representing us in Montpelier. It's basically the same thing. Now that this has changed and we don't have that say, they're the ones that have the say, we ought to know what they're doing.
Why don't we see how it goes?
Yeah.
Yeah, with a report style,
Yeah.
instead of.
No question.
No
And-
question.
It'd be just like what Fred did last year. He got up
Yeah.
and said, this is what's
Yep.
going on at the State House. He'll get up and say, this is what's going on at the school board.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You guys know what salaries you're gonna pay yourself?
We didn't put an increase in the budget. Unless somebody from the floor wants to pay us more.
Make a motion. I did have a question on that 5 and 6. So if we vote that yay, then when he reads the general fund one, Article 10, we have to adjust that by 15,000. Yeah. Fred will have to make that note that
Come again?
if Articles 5 and 6 are approved, then we get to Article 10, look, after you read it, look to one of us, probably Peter, will make a motion to readjust that operating budget from 911-412 to somewhere around 8 something.
When we get to the general fund?
Yeah,
Right.
Article 10.
Good. And we're gonna be using that system this year, yeah? Or did we use it last year too?
What system?
There's the acoustic system.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to get a couple of people, students, to help with mics. As I've been able to sometimes in the past.
I thought she was trying to get that as an operator.
Yeah, we're
The new system.
we're expecting to have 2 additional wireless mics
Yeah.
available.
And I'd like to have students be able to pass them to people that raise their hand, one perhaps for each.
Right.
That makes things go more quickly and
Right.
certainly allows people to hear more easily. Okay.
So here, beyond this list, what are there? 3
Library,
more?
cemetery.
People just need to understand that we should just add to this list if they.
In the
approve
future.
this.
After 3
No,
years.
for this year.
Correct.
Yeah. And in the future. Both.
Okay. Any questions? Any red flags?
I didn't see it.
So back to your, with the 2 candidates in the contested select board race, is anybody allowed to stand up and say, I want to vote for X or Y?
No.
No.
As I understand it, the person themselves
Are the only
can
ones that
stand up.
Yeah.
It's not a debate, it's not a campaign effort. One can only speak, to that specific issue, and I'm going to limit it to the people that are running.
Good. Yeah.
I think there was a young man, Kelly Lalaberty's husband.
Lance.
Lance.
Lance
Lance stood
Lalaberty.
up 2 years ago, maybe it was.
Yes,
Yes.
running against.
And it was appropriate, he chatted for maybe 90 seconds, 2 minutes, a little bit about himself. He mentioned 1 or 2 things that were important to him, and that was that. If no one raises their hand to do that, then we won't. In the past, that hasn't happened often, but it is permitted under Robert's rules. I don't
Yeah,
know that I can technically stop it necessarily. If someone wanted
falls under
to,
Article 2,
I
right?
can control the discussion a little bit, or the
That opportunity to speak falls under Article 2.
That's correct. That would be them.
Get ready your speech.
You know how quick it will be?
Floor school.
If so.
So,
anything
it
else?
did seem very straightforward. I think there's a raffle as to when the meeting's going to be over. I think 9:10 is the going number.
Yeah, taking
Could be
the
shortest
school
one.
meeting out, just the time that it takes to switch it all out.
Sure.
Yeah.
There'll be refreshments in the back.
Yeah.
The Masons are going to and are happy to do it again.
Wow, that's not getting a break. We don't get any of the goodies.
Well, I don't think there's nothing to say, Michelle, if you need a cup of tea or a cup of
Get up and go
coffee
get it.
and a cookie, you couldn't get up.
Can you get some high school kids to act as servants?
Well, instead of passing the mic, they can pass cookies up to the select.
I'd like a cup of coffee.
Okay. All right, I guess we're good. All right, thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.
We'll probably see you soon, but if not, we'll see you all
And we'll certainly be in touch. if
Tuesday. And
anything-
I'll be down here, probably a good half an hour, at least 20 minutes beforehand, so.
So you do not moderate the police district meeting?
No.
I have, but it's been a few years now. And it was back during a time when there was more controversy, I guess, for lack of a better word. I know there was real debates about the budget. There were a few people
That's
who
when it was a village
who will go,
police district meeting.
will go. No, this was
Since then.
yeah, this was one of its own district, and I was asked to do it. But you don't need me to do it. It's not statute that I do it. So if you want me to in the future, and I'm still a moderator, great. If you don't want me to, that's cool.
I think we can do it. Or I can do it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. See you, Fred.
See you all later.
Okay, approval of, are these all? Let me see them all.
Just have the February 4th.
February 4th. So approval of February 4th, 2019 minutes.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Discussion, corrections? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Those minutes are approved. Authorized accounts payable. What's the big number, Peter?
$57,099.19.
Select board concerns. Speaker?
It's not so much a concern as Eric spoke to me about paving and wanted to know if his paving schedule is cast in stone, and I said no. He's thinking that instead of, I don't know where the other area he was gonna pave, but because we're not getting water into the drains coming down North Street now, and because that road is breaking up, and the fact that they're gonna be paving Main Street, that it would be good to have all 4 intersections paved into the, so he wants to extend from Pine Street down to Main Street.
What he was going to do from Pine to the rescues, where he left off
Yes.
the rescue.
Yes, and then, so he wants to extend it basically through.
So he wants to do the whole thing?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's very bad shape.
Yeah.
You know, I told him, I said that it's, all you have to do is present it,
Yeah.
and we'll go from
So you're
there.
gonna have enough in his paving fund?
I believe so.
budgets to do that?
I
So the
believe so.
Garfield Street hump would be okay?
I'd like
Is he
to
talking about just
reevaluate
skimming
that.
it?
Whatever they do to get it back to probably a shim coat and then a inch and a half.
Well, he'll bring that to us, Joel, so we can
Yeah.
have that discussion. Okay. Joel, concerns?
I want to thank Peter. Him and I went to Salisbury last Monday night for a solid waste public meeting on there, thinking about closing the landfill. It was a big help. Where are we with the charging stations in town?
The Energy Committee is looking at applying for, there's a second round of grants available, and they are looking into pursuing that. I don't know the specifics of what they're going to propose.
Or a position of where they're going to be. And then I emailed Michelle and Valerie last Friday. There's a bill introduced by our new state representative on gas lines.
It's public, it's utilities.
It's utilities, but it's zeroed in mostly on that.
On fossil fuels.
Fossil fuels and then I don't like the wording on a couple of things. It says also and other infrastructure, new infrastructure, the bill. And I wish I brought it tonight, but I didn't. Maybe Valerie has a copy of the email
I would suggest that you contact that representative and find out.
Well, I do plan on it.
Yeah.
I just wanted us to look at it
Yeah.
and see, do we want to take a position as a board? Okay, and that's all I have here.
That's it, Michelle?
I'm good.
Ted?
Two the same color now.
Isn't that awful? Yeah,
She's gonna have to read them.
I've heard some concerns about charging stations taking up parking spaces if the charging stations are put on the West Street side of the park. Is there some other place where the charging stations could be that would not take up our parking spaces?
Probably. Well,
I'd like to keep it in mind because there are some people that are concerned about it.
The only reason I brought it up, where they're gonna.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They have to be somewhere visible and easily accessible.
Well, and
So you could put a sign up too.
I thought that they had to be on public land
That they do.
Right.
in order to get this grant, so, but is the green space on any street public land? That's the question.
Well, I was looking at the park, maybe not right on West Street, maybe across from the Catholic Church or across from the Baptist Church, those parking spaces in there.
Yeah, but you're taking up parking spaces out back
Yeah.
that people park
And you're
a lot
also,
more than up front.
you're also putting a structure on the park, which the select board has said
Yeah.
no more.
Mhm.
And,
Well, let's just wait and see what they come up with.
yeah. Okay, is that it? I'm good. Town administrator's report?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Any other correspondence or others? Okay. Michelle, any chance to read this again?
So we don't need to do the contract negotiation.
Yeah, we do. What I just brought you tonight.
Yeah?
Yeah, we do.
So it's personnel.
Personnel and contract. Make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss personnel matters and contract negotiations for 1 BSA section 313.
Right. And pending
And
litigation.
pending litigation as well.
And pending,
Yeah.
and pending litigation
We
as well,
have,
sorry.
we have some information on that.
Yep.
All in favor? Motion first.
You get second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're going into executive.